Hello, everybody. This is Jimmy. You're reading with Jimmy. We're doing a 10-minute quick take of the wife of Bath's tale. Not the prologue, we did that already, but the tale that she tells. Subtitled by Jimmy: Power, Pleasure, and the Politics of Marriage. This is from the Canterbury Tales. Welcome, everybody. Now, what if I told you that one of literature's most powerful feminist voices did not emerge from the 20th century, but from the 14th century widow who loved sex, challenged the church doctrine, and believed that the key to happiness in marriage was simple: power? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's the wife of Bath. This is an unruly, unprecedented character, just a beautiful portrait in words of a woman who knows her mind. She's part preacher, provocateur, and fully in command of her story. So, welcome to QuickTakes. This is my 10-minute introduction to the wife of Bath's tale. So, when we're done with this 10 minutes, you come on down and read it with me. I want you to read it with me. So, let me tell you now how this really works. What's the story? Well, unlike most pilgrims, the wife of Bath delivers a prologue, which you should review the 10-minute and read it with me. That's longer than the actual tale. But don't mistake this for a filler. This is her confession, the prologue. We're going to leave the prologue for another quick take. Please look it up. And I want to tell you the tale that this remarkable woman tells you. Now, I know you're thinking, well, Jimmy, she's not real. She's just a character in a book. No, 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 no. These people are real. You can live 300 years and you'll never meet anybody like this. And if you did, good luck. That's a great testimony because we read to see how other people lead their lives and how to lead our own. These people are, because of the craft of Chaucer, are more real than real life itself. You'll never know what another person is thinking, but this woman tells you what she's thinking. In her tale, it's set in King Arthur's time, and the wife of Bath tells us the story of a knight who rapes a young woman. Can you imagine that? And now he's given 1 year to discover what really women want. You understand that? Or he's going to die, face execution. King Arthur wanted to kill him right away, but Guinevere, the queen, said, no, no, no. I want you to go out and go on a quest and find out what women really want, and then you won't die. So King Arthur says, okay, queen, we'll let him do that. So he travels far and wide, hears all kinds of answers, but none of the answers agree. And finally, he meets an old hag. An old hag. I got it. When you read this with Jimmy, you're going to get a great description. Remember, they use words to paint pictures. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, 1,000 words is used to make a picture in your mind. There's nothing more stronger than your imagination. So he meets this old hag who promises the truth. I'll give you the truth of what women really want in exchange for a promise from you. And he says, well, okay, sure, that'd be great. And what do they want? Sovereignty. Women want power and control. Women want power in their relationships. So the old hag actually, he goes back, he says they want sovereignty, and his life is saved. But what's her price? Marry me. She says, you got to marry me now. She's an old hag. Oh, like a witch. So he submits miserably. He's, oh my God, I got to keep my word. I'm a knight, right? I got to marry her. She gave me the answer. On their wedding night, she offers him a choice. You can be with an old, like me, loyal wife, or I'll turn myself young and I'll be unfaithful to you. You decide. The knight lets her decide, her choose. And that's the right answer. Why? Why you decide? Why does he tell her to decide? Because that she's in power, she's in control, she makes the decision. So she transformed, becoming beautiful and faithful, and they live happily ever after. The real power isn't about taking control, it's about giving it. This is my rubber band example. What's the big deal? This is a classic story, a classic story. This isn't a tale about gender politics, it's about power. That's, ladies and gentlemen, one of my employees long, long time ago asked me, what do you study? Why do you study so much? What do you study? You're like a psychologist. I said, no, 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 I study power. What is power? It's a tug of war. When you have a rubber band and you pull a rubber band, right? If you keep pulling with the other person, that's a relationship, the rubber band will break. If you let yourself be pulled, who's in control? You or the person pulling you? Well, Jimmy, it's the person pulling me. No, it's not. If you let yourself be pulled, you're in control. It's when you pull back. You understand what this is a very important concept in life, very important. And so some of the themes that come out from her tale is about power in marriage. Forget courtly love, all this, highfalutin. The wife shows us marriage, relationships are a battlefield where the prize is not necessarily affection, but authority, power, control. Well, Jimmy, that's a crazy view. What about love? What about it? What is love? Love means there is no me, there's only you. You subordinate yourself to the other person. Read Farewell to Arms on this website, and you'll understand this concept. There's only peace when you surrender. Well, I'm not going to surrender to nobody. Well, then you're never going to be happy. There's a strength in doing this. She calls out scholars, priests, moralists, and her answer, hey, shut up, I've lived it. Female desire, not just for pleasure, but for freedom, to find your voice, your autonomy. She doesn't want just romance. She wants leverage, leverage, leverage in a relationship. Oh, Jimmy, that's not right. It's not a business, it's a personal thing. Think about this. Think about this. This is the real heart of it. It's the rubber band. If you pull, both sides break, like I told you. So the knight finally says, okay, you make the decision whether you're going to be old or young and blah, blah, blah. And he lets himself be pulled by the old hag. You see? So the knight in her tale is redeemed not by punishment, but by surrender. But the whole premise is weird too, because a knight would never rape a woman if he's a true knight. But it starts out with him raping a woman. That's crazy, right? Why does this still matter today, you ask? Women are still fighting to be heard. Look around you. Ellison doesn't whisper, she commands the page. This is the strongest character, one of the most strongest characters in literature, and certainly the strongest in the Canterbury Tales. This is a powerhouse here, ladies and gentlemen. And I want you to read this tale with me and her prologue. Very, very important. Marriage is still political. No, no, it's not, Jimmy. I love, right? No, 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 no. It's about power dynamics. If you're going to understand anything in life, you better understand what power is. I have the power to move my hand. Well, maybe you do, and maybe you don't. You understand that? Female agency stirs discomfort. As women get more and more powerful, I've always said that women are smarter than men. Jimmy, that's crazy. Men are smarter. What does that mean, smarter? Think about this. Think about this. She's speaking back. This is a part. She doesn't care if you're a scholar. Says, I've been married 5 times. I got more experience about marriage than any monk who can tell me and write and read Bible scripture to me. In fact, her fifth husband, she gets in it because he keeps pounding her and pounding her with scripture and the examples of how women should be subordinate and subordinate. And finally, she rips the pages up. He smacks her, makes her. I'm not going to tell you the rest of it. You got to read it with me. And she's flawed. She's funny. She's actually, this is a funny tale too. She's not, this woman wants what everyone wants, women and men. They want power and a little pleasure and a little peace. So, calling all readers. Whoops. I got so excited. I, I knocked my clock down. Sorry. Readingwithjimmy.com. That's my website. All right. You can see me on YouTube too. Subscribe to my channel. You can read the Partner's Tale, the Summoner's Tale, the Knight's Tale. They're all here, ladies and gentlemen. Take your pick. But let me ask you this before you leave. Who's pulling the rubber band in your story? And what happens if you let go? What would happen if you let go and let yourself be pulled for a change instead of trying to pull? What would happen? Thanks for listening. All of the Canterbury Tales, all of the quick takes, all of the analysis are on my website, readingwithjimmy.com, which is probably where you're at now. You can go to my YouTube channel by scanning that QR code, and I want you to enjoy yourself. Classical literature is here to help us learn how to lead our lives, right? By looking at other people on how they lead their lives. And they're so rich in detail and lessons that I do a comprehensive analysis of every tale, of every story, of every novel, of every play. You're going to find comprehensive analysis to help you young students too understand this. Because every time you read a piece of classical literature, you get more out of it. It's not like a dime novel. It's not like reading for entertainment. Oh, Jimmy, I like to read for entertainment. Good for you. That's not this website. This website is about the serious study of life and living and learning how to live by watching how other people live, the mistakes they made, the successes they have. Thanks for coming. I want you to enjoy these tales, especially when you get a powerful woman like this. Powerful, powerful. Take it easy. By the way, I haven't been married 5 times. I've been married once. And that's a long story for another time. Thanks for coming by.